Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare,
Hare
Hare Ram,
Ram,
Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare
Ram
Hare,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare Hare,
Krishna, Hare
Hare Ram,
Krishna,
Hare Ram, Ram
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna,
Hare Hare,
Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Hare Hare,
Hare Ram,
Hare Ram, Hare
Ram
Ram, Ram Ram,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna, Hare Hare,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Ram, Hare
Krishna,
Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Ram Ram,
Hare
Hare
Ram, Hare
Hare,
Ram, Ram Ram, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare Krishna, Hare Hare,
Ram
Hare
Ram,
Ram,
Hare
Hare Ram,
Hare,
Ram Ram, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Ram, Hare Ram, Ram
Hare
Ram, Hare
Ram,
Hare,
Hare Ram,
Hare Krishna, Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare Hare,
Hare Hare,
Hare Ram, Hare
Hare
Ram, Ram Ram,
Krishna,
Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Krishna
Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare Hare,
Hare,
Hare Ram,
Hare
Hare Ram,
Ram,
Ram Ram,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare, Hare
Ram
Krishna, Hare
Ram,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare Ram, Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Ram Ram,
Krishna,
Hare Hare,
Krishna Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna Hare
Ram,
Hare,
Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna.
Hare Ram, Hare
Panchakalpadita Kripa Sindhu Revetya Bhaktiram Pavan
Hare
Namo
Krishna,
Namo
Hare
Nama
Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Ananta
Hare
Koti
Hare,
Vaishnavindu
Hare
Ki
Ram,
Jai,
Hare Ram, Ram
Srila
Ram,
Prabhupada
Hare
Ki
Hare,
Jai. I'm
Hare
sorry for
Krishna, Hare
stopping the
Krishna,
wonderful
Krishna Hare
chanting,
Hare, Hare Ram,
but we will continue with our Bhagavad Gita discourse by His Grace Nila Govind Prabhuji. He will be joining today at 7:20. So before that, we'll start with a quote by Sachinanda Maharaj. Krishna will not be present in our kirtan if we are not present in our relationship with Him. The relationship is all He looks for. I will repeat: Krishna will not be present in our kirtan if we are not present in our relationship with Him. The relationship is all He looks for. By Sachinandan Maharaj. Thank you, everybody, for joining, and I'm really sorry for stopping the chanting. And I wish it could continue forever, but it's like we start with our study to learn about the pastimes, leelas, and so many things about Krishna. So we have to. That's also very important. So may I know who are on the call today?
Hare Krishna Mataji and Hare Krishna to all the devotees on this call. This is Gita from Maryland. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, my Dhanat Pranam to you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Thank you so much for joining.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, Hare Krishna to all the devotees. This is Surinder Bhandari from Maryland. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, my Dhanat Pranam to you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Thank you so much for joining.
Hare Krishna Mataji and Hare Krishna to all devotees. This is Malini from Ashburn, Virginia. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, my Dhanat Pranam to you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Thank you so much for joining. So our speaker, Neelagovind Prabhuji, is already there. So quickly we can finish up the greeting. Who else is there on the call?
Hare Krishna, Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. My humble obeisances to all the assembled devotees on this call. This is Premanandini Devidasi from Ashburn, Virginia.
Hare Krishna Mataji, my Dhanat Pranam to you. Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Thank you so much for joining. Anybody else would
Hare
like to
Krishna,
announce?
Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glory to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. This is Nikunj Rasada from Germantown, Maryland.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, my Dhanat Pranam to you. Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Thank you so much for joining. And also connecting Shri Badrani Prabhu for the chanting today. I wish he can join us every day. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji. After hearing Badrani Prabhu's voice, I started my chanting too.
Yes.
Yeah, he is a very rigorous chanter.
He's asking to join 7 days a week. Very nice.
Yeah. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you so much for encouraging him to join. Join back rather. He was coming earlier.
Yes,
Anybody else would like to quickly announce the name?
Hare Krishna Arpini Padma Mataji and all the assembled devotees. Dandavat Pranam. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. This is Shamarasika Devidasi from Germantown, Maryland.
Hare Krishna Mataji, my Dhanat Pranam to you. Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Thank you so much for joining. So now I'm going to hand over the call to His Grace Nila Govind Prabhuji. Prabhuji, my Dhanat Pranam to you. Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. And today on the call, we'll be discussing chapter 2.5 from Bhagavad Gita. So Prabhuji, please take over. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Thank you
Hare
for
Krishna.
association.
Thank you, Amma. Thank you for the opportunity. Hare Krishna. Grateful for the association. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We are reading chapter 2, shloka number 5. Gurun hatva hi mahanubhavan Shreyo bhoktum Bhakshayam api haloke Hatvartakamamstu gurun haiva Bunjeya bhogan rudirapadi pradigdhan. Translation purport given by His Divine Grace of Bhaktivedanta from Srila Prabhupada. It would be better to live in this world by begging than to live at the cost of lives of great souls who are my teachers. Even though desiring worldly gain, they are superiors. If they are killed, everything we enjoy will be tainted with blood. Purport. According to the scriptural quotes, a teacher who engages in an abominable action and has lost his sense of discrimination is fit to be abandoned. Bhishma and Drona were obliged to take the side of Duryodhana because of his financial assistance. Although they should not have accepted such a position simply on a financial considerations. Under the circumstances, they have lost the respectability of teachers, but Arjuna thinks that nevertheless they remain his superiors. Therefore, to enjoy material profits after killing them would mean to enjoy spoils tainted with blood. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम् वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा शिवसदि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे हरे मुखं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरु दीनतारिणं हरे कृष्ण. Dear devotees, this and the next sloka are the last steps before Arjuna completely submits himself to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Actually, this is the epitome in Gita. All this discussion, all this sharing, which happened until this point of time, all these sharings were actually waiting for that step of karpanya dosha pahata swabhava. What does that mean, dear devotees? It means a lot in the life of a devotee. Coming to the plane, submitting oneself to the consciously heart and heart to the words of the spiritual master is the greatest thing. Because what is that proving? That is proving again and again that only that will give the greatest shelter and hope in this world, dear devotees. I'm repeating this again. Because karpanya dosha pahata swabhava prachamitam dharma samurda chetaha यच्छ्रेहि सन्निश्चितं विभूतन्वे शिष्यस्तेहं साधिमां त्वां प्रपन्नम्. This is actually entire Gita is actually relying on this sloka, because this is actually the place Krishna will begin speaking Bhagavad Gita. That means Krishna, when is he speaking Gita? We'll discuss more when we come to the seventh sloka. But I want to give an intro, because to understand a shloka which we are discussing right now, we need to know what's happening next. Because see, out of this, there is this always there, na? What is that? For example, you are you went to a home, your friend's home. He's a nice devotee, just like you. He's also a nice devotee. You went to his home, and after going, he made nice preparations. He has Gaurnita deities at his home. He offered everything, and then you did kirtan together. You had some discussion from Gita. You both discussed nicely. This is what I felt. I'm happy practicing Krishna consciousness. I'm practicing Krishna consciousness nicely, and these are the inspirations. These are the reflections. This is my realization. 1 second, you do it. 1 second. Okay. So these are the reflections. They're actually sharing, and then the time to honor the prasad is coming. What is that? The time to honor the prasad is coming. Aren't we curious? What is the menu? They gave the puri, but you're very curious. Oh, what's there? What's next? You'll ask your friend. What's happening. You're very eager to know, right? Aren't we? We are generally. That is a niche. That is a notion. For example, if you're going to another devotee's home where you do not know him much, you do not have much relationship with him, then you might not ask him all those details. But if you have a relationship, if both of you are practicing Krishna consciousness together since years, then you definitely ask that question. So likewise, this knowing the next sloka is very important for us. Why, dear devotees? Because that gives us a clarity and the essence that until a sadhaka comes to that plane, understanding his Bhagavad Gita or applying or application or following will not be complete. Why? Because that state is not yet achieved. It's this did achieve. I shouldn't use a word called achieved, because devotion cannot be achieved. It has to be given to us. It has to be gifted. Now, who will receive that gift? Tattam rolam ekam udyam. That whoever has that eagerness, he will receive that gift. For example, if the senior Vaishnavas are telling us, then if the spiritual master is speaking to us in the class, then it's a it's actually a deep discussion, because he's directly telling to us. Now there might be so many people sitting in the class, but if we feel that relationship with him, he's actually telling to us. Directly he's telling to me. Now through that direct telling, Krishna he begins telling to Arjuna. It means, dear devotee, this is actually a very personal book. Please understand, the Bhagavad Gita is a very personal book. What does that personal book means? Personal book means it's a personal discussion between Arjuna and Krishna. Because only Arjuna has that kind of relationship with Krishna, and likewise Krishna also have that kind of relationship with Arjuna. Now both are on a personal plane. Arjuna is asking and then Krishna is responding. 1 second. So those things we need to understand. It's a personal thing. It's like between two people. It's an interaction. It's a deep exchange of feelings, their relationship, their reciprocation, their heart sharings. Arjuna is asking, Krishna is responding. Arjuna would ask further, oh, how does a pure devotee would look? What does he do? How does he walk? How does he move? What does he discuss? Arjuna goes further and he asks, okay, how the what is the consciousness which is developed in the people of the spiritual world? That means if a person has to go to the spiritual world, what consciousness he has to develop? How does he has to be? Or what he has to do? All those things have to be disclosed. And Krishna discloses every details in Gita. I'm just sharing few things. And then Arjuna would ask, oh, my dear Lord, That means how? One second, one second. So that kind of thing has to be established. See, dear devotees, to understand Gita, we need to understand the platform. Now we need to ask this question: "Arey, why is it Arjuna is telling that he doesn't want anything? Why is he telling that he doesn't like to kill? He's a Kshatriya, na? Why is he not fighting here? What is the problem? What is he doing? What is his mode? Why is he telling that Bhishma Dev and Dronacharya he doesn't want to kill? And why Bhishma Dev and Dronacharya on the other side? What is the reason? Prabhupada gives example that financial consideration. But why is that financial considerations are there? Oh, Bhishma Dev is a pure devotee, na? He's been written as a Mahajana. Then why Bhishma Dev is actually on the other side? And why Arjuna is hesitant to kill them? Why is he not killing them? Because he has killed so many people in the past. So these are the things which has to be taken into consideration. When this thing is taken into consideration, then we will actually, that is when we will understand what this Gita is. Why they do it is this is actually life and death situation. Arjuna has to kill people and people have to die. For that killing, Krishna is telling some logic. That is Gita. Krishna is sharing his heart to Arjuna, and then Arjuna is understanding. Now Arjuna is in one state. Up until this point of time, Arjuna doesn't want to fight. And after finishing Gita, Arjuna wants to fight. But what happened before? What happened in between? What happened? वो आधा घंटा में क्या हुआ? What happened in that half an hour discussion between Krishna and Arjuna? And then what is that discussion helping us? In which way it is helping us? And this happened 5,000 years ago. And how is that so prominent here? How is that so prominent here? These things we need to understand. So the more we understand this, that is when we'll be able to understand the logic. Otherwise, this Krishna consciousness cannot be understood. Because the science of devotional service is what? What is science of pure devotion? Science of pure devotion is to understand, oh, who am I? What is the position? Why am I here? What is the purpose of this life? If this understanding cannot be understood, because see, here Arjuna is actually kept in that state. He has to kill people. It's not an easy thing, dear devotees. That means what Krishna has spoken here is something profound. See, here in this particular step also, in this particular sloka, Arjuna is clearly telling it would be better to live in this world by begging. Why Arjuna wants to beg? That means see his heart, his feelings, his reciprocation is completely different. The way he is understanding the truth is totally different. He's lost in this world. He's telling, I will not fight. I cannot do this. He's telling you, please help me. This is a movement. 052117.
Wi-Fi password.
No, please give me 1 second. So when that thing is understood, dear devotees, what happens is it gives us the epitome. That means, really, we should actually ask this question to us. Oh, why should I read Bhagavad Gita? Why should I understand the science? What is the benefit of understanding Gita? What will it help me? How will this science helping me? Because if you actually see here, he says that I will beg, I will quit my life, and they are my teachers. How can I kill them? Which is absolutely right. There is no wrong in Arjuna speaking these words because they are his teachers, na. Will anyone kill his teachers? But Arjuna will kill them. What got changed? What is the change which happened from here to there? When we understand this, dear devotees, then we will know how grave this subject matter is. If a sadhaka understands the gravity of Gita, then his taking of this Krishna consciousness will be totally different. That means a person who is actually is completely gone. That means he is totally lost. From that state to a state of victorious. You remember chapter number 1, last shloka, Arjuna was actually in that state. Arjuna, having thus spoken on the battlefield, cast aside his bow and arrows and sat down on the chariot, his mind overwhelmed with grief. That means he cannot think further. Just like a person who lost everything. For example, a person is actually going and then he gets a call. And then he picks up the phone and then he says, you know what, your wife, your 2 children, they both are died in the plane crash. We don't even know whether the bodies are available or not. They told and then they kept the phone. That's it. You know what would go through in the person's heart at that moment? Up until that point of time, he was just walking on the street. He's just walking in the morning walk, he lives in a greater community. It's a nice, everything is great. And then he receives a call, and then this is what he hears. That his wife, both children, they're no more. That means his entire thing, what is supposed to be done in this particular life is shattered. That means all his dreams, everything which he aspired, they're all shattered. Now he's left alone. Arjuna is carrying that kind of a grief in his heart at this particular moment. Because he has to do that activity to kill those living entities, which he doesn't want to do. The grief which a person which I told is carrying at this moment, the similar grief Arjuna is also carrying, is even a moderate deeper level. Because his entire life was there with his grandfather Vishwadev. He took care of him like a father, more than that actually. Vishwadev is everything for them. Now Arjuna is at stakes to kill him. No, Krishna actually kept in the battle in front of him only, so that he will understand the gravity of what's going to happen in the future. What is this representing? What is this representing, dear devotees, in our life? Krishna, if we really practice Krishna consciousness, Krishna will give us difficulties, which is good for us, because through those difficulties we advance in the science of Krishna consciousness. We depend more, we take shelter of our spiritual master, we follow his words, we become more humble, we become submissive, we surrender to their words, we give our life to them. Those difficulties are actually stepping stones to success in Krishna consciousness. What is Krishna consciousness? Actually, one time a sadhu, a senior devotee, he told me this, which is very beautiful. He said, people will commit mistakes, but whoever is actually learning his lessons out of those mistakes and not repeating those mistakes, he becomes a sadhu. This is epitome, dear devotees. This is a true fact. Why? Because what is happening? Understanding that there are problems in this world, understanding there are issues in this world, understanding there are calamities in this world, and accepting them as a blessing from the Lord is a sadhu. Now, Arjuna has a calamity in his life. Now, he will accept those calamities as a blessing from by the mercy of the Lord. Through that mercy, he fights vigorously and then he is victorious. Sarvadharman parityajat mamikam sharanam aham tam sarvapapebhyo mokshayishami mashichaha. Because that is a mood. That is a consciousness of this pure soul. That's why Arjuna is great, is victorious. When we understand that, some at least point not 1% gravity, if it comes to our heart, then our hearing, then our understanding, then our taking this process is totally different, dear devotees. Please understand this. It's not the normal thing in this world. It's completely different. Now that difference, when we understand, he becomes a devotee. Why? What's happening here? That these are the questions one should ask actually. Because through these questions only, one will get the realization that this process is something deep. This is not an ordinary process. This is very sublime. That means Arjuna's problems are no longer problems for him. How is that? Arjuna has so much problems now. At this particular moment, he says, Gurun Hatva Imanubhavan. You're telling me to kill my Guru? Superiors, you're telling me to kill them? Shreyo abhoktam bhaiksayam api haloke. No, I don't want to do that. I want to beg. Bhiksham. Bhikshatan I have to do. I have to beg in the streets. I don't want this. Atvarta kamam stugurun vaha. Even though desiring worldly gain, they are superiors. Okay, they might desire for worldly gain, but how can I do that? How can I kill them? They are desiring for that. For that, I have to kill them. If you actually see, the moment Krishna begins speaking Gita, you'll understand in which plane we are is totally convoluted. It is obstructed. Actually, that means we are in, actually, dear devotee, we are in a difficult state. We are in a very pathetic, difficult condition, which we don't realize because we are a person who's an illusion. He doesn't understand. For example, a person has a cancer. He doesn't know he has a cancer. He is happily playing here and there, doing this, doing that, joking. He's not, he doesn't know. He doesn't know the purpose of the life. Immediately, he has a problem. He goes to the hospital, and then they say that you have cancer, fourth stage. You have only 2 months. What will be the state of that consciousness of that person? Will he, will he accept? No, he will never accept. Because his thinking is his body. Do you think that the sadhaka will accept? No, the sadhaka will never accept, dear devotees. That's a problem now. How people will accept that situation? People will never accept. For example, every one of us in the call, through this discussion, do we think that we will leave this body? We will never think that. Arjuna is telling, I want to die. That means he knows that is a heinous act, but he's telling, I want to die. Because this grief is killing me so much. That means there's a problem in the consciousness. Through that consciousness problem, what is he telling? I want to die. Because you want to quit that situation. Through that situation, Arjuna is hearing. That means through that situation, Arjuna is hearing that. Now see what kind of state of consciousness in which Arjuna is hearing also. Very attentive, rapt attention. He's telling, he's hearing, Krishna, whatever you will tell, I'll absorb that completely. Means he's actually watching Krishna like this. Krishna, please tell. Please tell what is congenial to me. And whatever you say, I'll simply accept. That is the state of consciousness which he is establishing in shloka number 7, which is required to every sadhaka's life. If a person wants to be Krishna conscious, he has to understand this devotees. Otherwise, we cannot be Krishna conscious. That means if we don't understand these things correctly, that means entire Gita we cannot understand. Because it is coming with so much gravity. One cannot leave that just like that. One cannot say, oh, Prabhu, this is not for me. Bhakti is not for me. Bhakti is for pure devotees. Bhakti is not for me. What do you mean it's not for me? It's for everyone. Krishna told Arjuna, but he wants everyone to follow. Why it is not for us? Or if you are not pure, then why not? Why we are not pure? These are the questions which we need to ask. What is stopping us to become pure? What is stopping us to come to that pure plane? What is stopping us to come to that plane of submission? These are the questions which we need to ask. Dear devotees, after how many lifetimes we got this body? We have no idea. That means, do we know how many lifetimes we are here in this material world? We have no idea. But we are here at Baba, dear devotees. We are here since life after life. And this life is also running out. We do not have much time. We need to realize what is very, very important to us. Dear devotees, with that attitude, Arjuna is sharing. What is that attitude? I want to die. I want to leave this body. Now, Krishna, whatever you tell, I'll do. This is a great consciousness, dear devotees. That means he's completely giving himself out. He has no other thought. He has no other opinion. He has no other discussion. He's not thinking, oh, what's going to happen there? What's going to happen here? Will the share market be up? Will the share market be down? Will my funds be good? Will my funds be bad? Will I be okay? Will my job will be good? Will my job will not be bad? Will my children will hear? There's no discussion like that. It's complete focus. How do I come out of this difficult, grief situation? No, difficulties will come to a lot of people here over there. This material world means difficulties only. Do you show one person who doesn't have difficulties? In the call, we are 12 people. Don't we have difficulties in our life? Everyone has difficulties in this world. Who doesn't have difficulties? One have family problems, one have financial problems, one have health problems, one have job problems, this problem, that problem, wife problem, husband problem, children problem, so many problems in this world. Who doesn't have problems here? Every person will have problems. Arjuna also has problems, but Arjuna has a solution, but we do not have solution. If you want solution, then we need to come to this state. My dear Lord, whatever you tell, I'll accept. This is a state which Arjuna is cultivating. If we cultivate that consciousness, if we hear with that attention, with that rapt attention, then we will come out of this materialistic existence. Currently, we are with the external energy, dear devotees. We are not with the internal energy. We are with the external energy of the Lord. Because we are associating with that. And in between, Krishna consciousness is coming, and then we are trying to pull Krishna into this state. Rather, we are not going into that state, which is internal energy. Rather, we are pulling him from internal energy to the external energy, to our realm. That is a problem. But Arjuna is not in the show. Is an exalted Vaishnava, pure soul. What is he doing? Krishna, I have a problem. You please help me. Here we see a beautiful quality in Arjuna. What is the beautiful quality? Or he is very submissive. And he has immense gratitude. And we see beautiful submission also here. So these are the epitome. These are wonderful qualities which Arjuna actually has. He carries in his heart. Now this understanding, when we accept and then take it to the heart, then we make a lot of progress. Then our progress in Krishna consciousness will be fast and rapid. But if you see on the opposite side, Duryodhana doesn't have these qualities. That is why Krishna did not speak Gita to Duryodhana. Now here this is a tricky thing. What is this tricky thing is, okay, Arjuna has that consciousness It's a very beautiful consciousness. That's why he is there. Okay, Krishna is not speaking to Duryodhana because he has attachment, material attachments of this world. Now, a sadhaka who has aspirations, who has material desires, who also has spiritual desires, who has material needs, who also has spiritual needs, that kind of a person, what is the destination for him? Where will that person will go? Now, if a person is on a pure plane, okay, he'll finish his Krishna consciousness, he'll go back to Godhead. But if a person is in this state, थोड़ा material है, थोड़ा spiritual है, क्या करेंगे इधर? What do we do in this particular state? For this state, we should have a person in our life and then we should begin hearing from him. And that person should be a pure soul or spiritual masters or teachers. When these personalities, they're actually representing the truth. They're actually following in the footsteps of the acharyas, Anusmarana. They're doing Smarana, Anusmarana. They're just repeating. Repeating means repeating through their acceptance, repeating through their following. How is that acceptance coming? Through following the words of the acharyas. Just like Arjuna is following here. Guru Nahatva Mahanubhavan. He's telling Supreme Personality of Godhead. Oh, my dear father, you want me to kill my teachers? You want me to kill my grandfather? How can I do this? Rather than doing this, I will go and beg on the streets. That is far more beneficial. He's thinking that if I do this, this is a heinous act. I'll be sent to the hellish planets continue eternity. I don't want to do that. Just like when Nardamuni was being asked, the Lord asked, can you give the dust of your lotus feet? Because Nardamuni would go and meet the Lord. And then Lord immediately said, I have headache. Then Nardamuni said, oh, my dear father, you have headache. And he's talking to Mother Lakshmi. He's talking to, please, can you please, pacify? Then the Lord said, the solution for that is, I need the dust of my devotees, the dust from their feet. Then he says, Nardamuni, can you give? Nardamuni says, oh, Swami, how can I do that? How can I do that, my dear father? I cannot do that. How can I see myself in that situation? Then Lord said, no, this is the relief. This is the solution for my headache. Nardamuni says, oh, my dear father, how can I do that? Then he says, you go and ask my devotees. You go and ask those Vrijvasis, those exalted Vaishnavas. And then Nardamuni, when immediately he goes there, then he says, he says the situation. Immediately, without any second thought, they started cultivating so much dust from their feet and then they kept everything in the bucket. And then they gave to Nardamuni, please take this. And Nardamuni was shocked. He asked, do you know what's going to happen if you give this dust to the Lord? Do you know what is your destination? They immediately said, we're not worried of our destination. They said, you might go to hell for this. He said, that's okay. We are ready to go wherever Lord sends us. But we are just happy because this will help reduce the headache of the Lord. Heart is as dear devotees. How many lifetimes we have to take to get this consciousness? What is this? This is devotion, dear devotees. That's why Lord is sold out to these kind of devotees. That's why they are his intimate associates. This is devotion. This is pure devotional service. And then the Lord was so happy with their service. That's why Lord doesn't leave his devotees. Because devotees doesn't want to leave his father or his beloved or his friend who is Krishna. They don't want to leave him. Neither the Lord. because that deep connection. So similar connection we see through Gita. It's a very deep relation. It's a deep discussion between Arjuna and Krishna. Now the discussion begins. These are the steps or the placeholder for us to understand with what attitude and consciousness we come to them. Hare Krishna. See here, he says, how can I kill my superiors even though they are desiring worldly gains? That doesn't matter. They desire worldly gains. That doesn't matter. But they are my superiors. How can I kill them? This is a beautiful consciousness to actually understand the truth. Because Arjuna is very submissive here to his superiors. This attitude is required for us to actually learn the Gita. Because this will kill familiarity complex, especially with the Vaishnavas, with the spiritual master. It will kill the familiarity. Why? Submission. Deep submission. Hare Krishna. Oh, we should understand. The Brijavasis, they're ready to give anything to the Lord just to pacify him from that headache. They're ready to go wherever Lord sends them. This is the soul out state of a devotee. Hare Krishna. Thank you. I think I'll stop here. Anyone would like to add anything? Would anyone has any questions? Would like to share or would like to ask anything on this?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you so much for explaining this, one of the most important, like a verse just right before Karpanya Dosha. So, Prabhu, like you said, and I was just going back and thinking about it when you were talking, that it is so true that it's so, by so many ways, so many incidents that happen in our life, Krishna is trying to bring our attention to Him. But we are just so lost in this material energy that after every time we get that jerk, we again, come back and we are again keep on going with our regular business until the right time comes. And Krishna says, time I am. So when Krishna come in the form of that right time in our lives, that moment comes and we turn towards Krishna. And for everyone's life, I think, Prabhu, for some, that's what I think, that what made me turn toward Krishna is not going to apply to someone sitting next to me, because everyone has their own journey. But it is so interesting that you drew our attention towards that fact. And it reminds me of a story in one of the classes where the manager of this construction company is on top of a building, and one of the construction workers is standing on the ground next to a big machine that's running with loud sound, and there's a lot of sound and disturbances, and the manager is trying to get that person's attention. He's calling, but the person wouldn't listen, and the manager keeps on dropping rocks on his helmet, and at some point the person turns around and looks up. So it's exactly like that, but for every person that rock is different. It's not the same number of rocks. So thank you so much, Prabhu. That was a wonderful class. Dandavat Pranam.
Actually, the problem is when we do not hear the truth continuously, we do not get connected to that process. And then when the hearing of the truth is not done in a relation, that means if I'm hearing, just like Arjuna, his hearing is different. He's hearing in that relation. Because Arjuna feels that he's Krishna, I'm connected to him, then I have to, whatever he says, I have to accept that. But when we don't feel that kind of relation with our superiors, with our spiritual masters, with the acharyas, then the connection with the Lord will be very difficult. That's what happens because, as you mentioned, we will be lost in this world. And then again, after some time, we will come back. Again, we will practice, again, we are lost. Now, this coming back and then lost is common to everyone. But the realization of understanding the absolute truth might be different to so many people. But every person's realization is one. But every person's relationship with the Lord is also unique. But his acceptance of that process is same. Because he has to submit how Arjuna is submitting. Prabhupada actually mentions in the beginning of the Gita, whoever gets the consciousness of how Arjuna is actually taking up the truth, and whoever actually comes to that plane and understands the truth in this way, then he can understand the entire Gita. But whoever doesn't come to that plane at this particular moment, then his understanding of acceptance, the process of acceptance of this process will be difficult later. So that we need to understand more and move forward. Thank you, Mataji, for sharing that, because it is important. Because difficulties do come to every person, but the problem is we get bogged down to this material world and then continue our life normally after that. Now, I'll give an example. If a person dies in a home, they're worried for a few months. Not, few months is also very big word. Few weeks. After that, things are normal. That means the person leaving us, we don't think about that. Why he left? What is the reason? Why was I kept in that particular state? What should I do? What is the solution for this? I see this happening in every half an hour back, 6 o'clock. So those things, we forget everything. That's a problem actually in this world. Please understand. That's the greatest problem. We know there are problems and we try to get a temporary solution out of that problem, but we don't understand why this problem is coming to me. What is the solution for this problem? We don't try to understand that. That is the biggest problem in this world. This is called as illusion. It's a problem actually. Dear devotees, we are in an illusory state. We are not in a pure state. And we should work on this every day. Ashtaprayeshu bhadreshu nityam bhagavata seva. Bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naistike. Oh, we discuss every day this truth. Every day we discuss Gita. Every day. Why? Why this is so important? This is so important because if the discussion goes on daily, continuously on a particular aspect, sometimes we discuss on a particular aspect for a few classes. Why? Because giving, not just understanding the truth, we should understand the truth on a deeper level. And that truth should go in the heart. If the truth is not going in the heart, if it is just, for example, if you have a small mug to collect water, then the quantity of the mug is very limited, a liter or two. After that liter or two, it will fall out. That means you cannot collect more. It's a limited. But if you have a big reservoir to collect water, you can collect so much. If you have a drum, you collect little more. If you have a bigger drum, you collect more. But if you have a reservoir, you can collect unlimited. Thousands of gallons of water for preservation. Krishna consciousness is that. Otherwise, we cannot understand the heart of Arjuna. If we don't understand the heart of Arjuna, we don't understand why is he kept in this particular state. It's a difficult state. Now, I know devotees, some devotees who are very sincere practicing Krishna consciousness, when they go through difficulties, they took complete shelter of the spiritual master and the Lord. Through that complete shelter, what happened? They become pure. But that has to happen. Hare Krishna.
And
Until
Prabhu,
that point of time, it becomes it will be a process of discussing some points, or it will be a process of sharing of some knowledge, but it will not transform the heart. But transforming of the heart is important, because until the heart is transformed, one cannot chant Hare Krishna in that state, in that state of gravity, with that deep conviction. Because chanting, everyone can chant, but chanting with what attitude is important. That we learn from our acharyas. Yes,
yeah,
Mataji.
yes, Prabhu, and one more point, that how do we understand that Krishna's mercy is coming when Krishna comes into our life as Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra? That's like in Arjuna's case, Krishna is right there. For our lives, especially in my life, I think Krishna came as Sadhu and Shastra. And then by Krishna's mercy, I was able to meet my Guru Maharaj. So that's that's how I think it. Like sometimes we wonder, like, how do we know that Krishna's mercy is flowing? And it is when you see that in your life you are having, association of sadhus and devotees and Shastra. You feel like, associating more with Shastra. That means this Krishna's mercy is flowing.
And when we surrender to the words of the spiritual master, that is where the progress. See, spiritual master will come into everyone's life. But when we surrender to their words, when we follow them as is, without any second opinion or second endeavor, that is the epitome of success. When a sadhaka aspires for that state, then he'll understand the essence of Krishna consciousness and then he'll move forward. That state has to be established. That means surrendering to his words, surrendering to him, surrendering to that person who's my master, who's my spiritual master. And that gives everything. That gives access to Goloka. Hare Krishna. Thank you all very much. I think I'll stop here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिंधु एव च पतितनां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय, शिव प्रभात की जय, His
Jai.
Grace Nila Govind Prabhuji ki jai.
Jai.
Ji for the wonderful class.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat
Hare
Pranam.
Bol. Hare
Dandavat
Bol.
Pranam, everyone.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Ram. Hari Bol. Hari Bol.